Hi folks, HR Funk here with the last video I ever thought I would be making. I never in my life expected to be making a video on diet or weight loss. But so many of you have asked me about the weight that I've lost over the course of the last several months that I felt kind of like I was letting you down if I didn't tell you what I did. So I'm not really self-conscious when it comes to talking about myself. But weight loss is a very personal thing for me. It's something that I have really dealt with my entire life, all the way back to when I was a child. And it's something that I made a committed effort beginning earlier this year to try to improve about myself. And I think I've done okay. I now know, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later on, that I've lost about 65 pounds in the last 6.5 months. Okay folks, here we go, my bathroom scale. Bathroom scale says 182.8 pounds. Months. I just discovered that a day or so ago because up until that point I really didn't know how much I'd lost because I didn't care. All I cared about is that I was losing weight, and I could tell that by the way my clothes fit, or my wife would say the way my clothes don't fit anymore, and the way I look. And I was pretty happy with the way things were going, so I didn't feel the need to constantly check myself on a scale and try to see how much I weighed. Truth be told, I don't care how much I weigh. I care about how I look and how my clothes fit. Before I get into how I lost weight, I think it's important to explain a couple of things. First of all, I want to say I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. I'm someone who knows how I lose weight. And those were the steps that I took in order to lose the weight that I have. I'm also not suggesting that what worked for me is going to absolutely positively work for you. I think people who do that, who say if you do this, this, and this, you are definitely going to lose weight, are either naive or they're liars. I think different people's bodies are different, and I think everybody loses weight a little bit differently. I think there are some things that you can do similarly that will have probably good results. Obviously, if you reduce your calorie intake, and you take in fewer calories than you burn off, generally speaking, you're going to lose weight. But how you go about that and what works for different people, I think, are going to be a little bit different. I also think that systems like Jenny Craig and Nutrisystems and whatever else is out there are a scam. I think they have everything to do with making money for those companies, and whether or not the people that are paying that money to them actually lose weight, and probably more importantly, if they keep the weight off after they lose it, is not really that big a concern. It's about making money. I think the same thing about the chain gyms that, if you come here and work out, you're definitely going to lose weight. So many of those things, especially these things, seem to have more to do with being a social gathering than they do actually anything to do with getting in better condition or losing weight or whatever. So I want to get those things out of the way right now. And again, I'm not suggesting that what worked for me is going to work for everyone else. Also, before I get into the how part of my weight loss, I want to talk a little bit about the why, because I think the motivation to lose weight or get into better physical condition is as important, if not more so, than the steps you take to accomplish it. Once you make the decision that you are going to do something, then it just becomes a matter of figuring out how best to go about doing it. In my case, there were a couple of significant things that happened over the course of the last year, and a few minor ones that I'll talk about here. First off, last year on my birthday, I turned 50. Now the idea of turning 50 really didn't bother me. In fact, I thought it was kind of cool. I've been here half a century now. I've actually been around long enough to learn a few things. But shortly after I turned 50, there were a couple of deaths that occurred that really caught my attention and gave me some reason for pause. One of those people that died had been my high school quarterback. He was a gentleman who, as best I know, was always in pretty good physical condition. Obviously, as kids, he was in very good physical condition. And there was another gentleman who also died that was in my class in school, and like me, went into a career in law enforcement. In fact, we'd been law enforcement officers about the same amount of time. Both of those two gentlemen essentially just dropped dead. Nobody saw it coming. There was not a lot of advance warning or anything else. They just died. And I think those two things caught my attention, and if I'm being perfectly honest, I guess I would have to say they bothered me a little bit because I don't particularly want to drop dead. But then another thing occurred. Last February, I had a doctor's appointment. So I went to the doctor's appointment, and just like always, the first thing when you walk into the doctor's office, they make you get onto the scale. I got onto the scale in a doctor's office and I weighed 250 pounds. That's the most that I've ever weighed in my life. Consequently, through the course of that doctor visit, they did some blood work and that came back showing that I was pre-diabetic. To this day, I don't know what pre-diabetic means. It sounds like you're not diabetic yet, but you could be someday. That sounds like pretty much everybody else on the planet to me. But the result of that was it made me angry. And really, my motivation for losing weight is I got ticked off, if I'm being brutally honest. I thought, I am not going to be somebody who becomes diabetic, has to take insulin or has to be on a special diet or can't enjoy life. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to deal with it. It made me angry, and I made the decision that day that I was going to lose weight and end this pre-diabetes thing. So that's the why as far as my weight loss is concerned. Now I'll get into the how. What I did basically, I did not get onto some Navy SEAL commemorative Green Beret Force Recon exercise regimen where I'm out running a marathon every other day and doing 500,000 push-ups and pull-ups, and I didn't do that. Basically, I reduced my calorie intake. I went to a diet, self-imposed, where I did not eat more than 500 calories for breakfast, not more than 500 calories for lunch, and not more than 1,000 calories for supper. Also, hand in hand with that, I did not intake any more than 10 grams of fat during the course of any of those meals. 10 grams total, I mean. When I first started it out, I kind of tried to do some things to where I could eat a little less earlier in the day. Like, for example, I would have a glass of fruit juice in the morning for breakfast, which would be about 100 calories. And then with the idea I could eat a little bit more later on for supper. What I discovered was that if I had a glass of fruit juice, or even if I ate a piece of fruit, an apple or something like that for breakfast, I was just as hungry when I got to lunchtime as if I hadn't eaten anything all for breakfast. So I thought, why not dispense with breakfast altogether? I'm not getting any benefit from it, and use those calories to eat a little bit more later on in the day and keep myself satisfied a little bit longer. Now, I've got to be brutally honest with you folks. Being on a diet sucks. Whenever people tell you, oh, it's easy, just eat the food, lose the weight, all that BS, that's exactly what it is. It's garbage. When you take in less calories during the course of the day than you are burning off, you get hungry, and that is miserable. Some of the parts of my life that helped with this are the things that really helped instill a lot of self-discipline in me. I'm a third-degree black belt in karate. I am a former U.S. Marine. I'm a longtime law enforcement sniper and a career police officer. All of those things helped instill a great deal of self-discipline in me. I can endure a lot of physical discomfort, and I knew I was going to have to draw from that because, again, being hungry sucks. That's the only way to describe it. But I knew every time I started to feel hungry, the thing that I could do to kind of help keep myself on an even keel is I knew when I felt hungry, I was burning calories from the rest of my body that were not calories that I had taken in from eating. So again, I did away with breakfast. I do not eat breakfast during the course of the week. For lunch, what I actually ended up doing was reducing my calorie intake to about 450 calories because I just decided that was an extra 50 calories that I could have for my supper. So at lunchtime, what I typically do is eat a turkey sandwich. The turkey that I eat is the kind, it's the processed sliced turkey, and I can eat about 4 to 6 slices of that and get about 80 or 90 calories depending on which brand of turkey I buy. And I also make the sandwiches on the flat sandwich bread, and those things are about 100 calories. So my lunchtime sandwich, I could put mustard on it, which has no calories and just adds some flavor. And I can also put either dill pickles or jalapeno peppers on there if I want to give it some zing, which essentially add no calories. So I eat a sandwich that's just shy of 200 calories for my lunch. I also buy pretzels that are low-fat pretzels. And they're the little curly Q kind if you want to know for specific what I'm eating. Those things, I can eat 17 of those. They're 110 calories and like 1 gram of fat. So between my sandwich and my pretzels at lunch, I would eat those and I would get about 300 calories. Eat a few more pretzels, I'm up to my 400, and that was it. Once in a while, I'll exchange some of my pretzels for an apple. A medium-sized apple is about 100 calories. But I stay for lunch right in that 400 to 450 calorie area. So no breakfast, 450 calories for lunch, not over 10 grams of fat for lunch, and obviously when I don't eat breakfast, there's no fat for my breakfast. I do drink quite a bit of coffee during the course of the day to help with energy, and I'm sure there are nutritionists out there that say, oh, that's awful for you, you shouldn't do that. Caffeine boosts your blood pressure, does bad. I don't care. Don't care. I like coffee. It's one of the things that I can get some comfort from. So even though I'm not eating, I can drink some coffee and still at least enjoy something. At supper time, particularly early on, now one of the things, again, I love to eat, I love food, I love beer, and particularly as it gets colder, and when I started this diet, I was in February when it was still cold, I like the darker beers, the porters, the stouts, the things like that when it's cold out. I didn't touch beer for about 4 months. Now, I would still have a drink now and again. Usually it was Jim Beam and Diet Ginger Ale. I kind of like that combination. No calories, no fat from the Diet Ginger Ale. Minimum amount of calories from the Jim Beam. So, again, I'm not suggesting anyone should drink to excess or drink your way to a thinner body or anything else, but if you like to have a drink now and again, stay away from the beer. If you have a mixed drink, use something like a diet soda that you mix it with, and that will help with that reduction of caloric intake. My supper ranges anywhere, and particularly early on, the first 4 or 5 months, I really tried to keep it at that 1,000 calories or below. Since then, I've eased off of that probably a little, but even when we go out to eat in the evening, what I've done a lot is start to develop a taste for salads, and I've actually found that I kind of like a lot of them. I can get a nice big Caesar salad with a grilled chicken breast or a charbroiled chicken breast or something like that on top of there, and I like it. It's good. I get that. I'll drink water a lot of times. Once in a while, if we're out to eat in the evenings, I'll get a beer, but we don't go out to eat in the evenings every night, so those beers are few and far between. And like I said, for the first 4 or 5 months, there was no beer whatsoever. The one thing that I do to help reduce cravings and keep my sanity is on the weekends, I ease things up a little bit. On the weekends, I'll eat breakfast, and part of the reason is because I love breakfast food. In fact, as I'm filming this is Saturday, this morning I made pancakes, and I've got to tell you, I look forward to those pancakes every Saturday. Tomorrow, I'll probably have scrambled eggs and toast, maybe some bacon or some sausage with it. And one of the things too that I think is important is if you break away from your diet, like I do a little bit on the weekends, it doesn't hurt anything. Some people, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, I ruined my diet because last night I ate cake or something like that? It doesn't matter in the short term what you do, it's the long term. You go right back to it, you stay on your diet, and that one meal, that one dessert that you ate, or the one breakfast or whatever, is really going to have no effect in the long term. At least it doesn't for me. So on the weekends, I eat a little bit more. Something else that I did not do, I did not keep track of my weight. Again, I don't care what I weigh. So many people on diets will get discouraged because they get on the scale every day, or every week. And if they haven't lost whatever amount they think they should have lost, then they're disappointed, and a lot of times they get discouraged and they quit. Again, I don't care. And people would ask me all the time, how much weight have you lost? Almost every day now, hey, how much weight have you lost? You look really good. How much? And my answer, up until yesterday, was, I don't know. I don't care. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's almost like other people are trying to impose their own judgment on your physical health. It's like they want to decide whether they think you've lost enough or haven't lost enough, or whether or not it meets with their approval. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I just don't care how much I weigh, which is why I stayed away from scales. I now know I've lost between 65 and 70 pounds since February. Does that somehow make it more effective? Does that make me look better? I don't know. All I can tell you is I don't care. The weight where I am right now is essentially the weight where I was when I was 21 years old in the Marine Corps. I'm happy about that. I fit in my Marine Corps uniform again. I can put a photo of that up. In fact, I think I will, because I took it the other day. I'm pretty happy that I fit back in that thing. Kind of like the fact that I can wear it again. But in any regard, even that doesn't have that great of an impact on me. Now, I'm also not going to lie to you like a lot of people do and tell you how, oh man, I have so much energy nowadays, and oh, I just, have a bundle of energy, go out and feel like running a marathon or whatever. No, I have about the same amount of energy or lack of energy that I've always had. I get home from work in the afternoon, I'm still tired. I get up in the morning, I don't jump out of bed. Now, one thing that I have done, again, this is in moderation. Every morning when I get up, I do 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups. Okay, that's my whole workout regimen. That takes me about 5 minutes. And I did not do that so much as a weight loss, calorie burning thing, as much as I did over a concern that as I lost weight, if I didn't do something to tone my muscles, that everything would be kind of flabby and saggy. So I did that just to tone up a little bit. I did not start out doing 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups right from the get-go. I started out with 10 every morning, and then after a week or so, I went up to 20. When I got to 50, I thought, this is where I'm going to stop. And I think another mistake that I've made in the past, and I think maybe some other people have made, is you're constantly wanting to do more, wanting to do more, wanting to do more. And all of a sudden, you get that day where you're just tired of doing that much. The 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups, like I said, it takes me about 5 minutes. I get done, I feel good about myself, and that's it. Exercise beyond that, I have a fairly sizable yard that I mow by hand, so I get some, exercise walking around there. I've got the pool behind me that I spend as much time in as I can, although I'm not swimming laps back and forth or anything else. The other things are just the things I normally do. Go shooting, you're walking up and down the range and things like that. I haven't started running. I haven't, started jumping rope. I don't, none of that kind of stuff. Because again, I think a lot of times we try to do too much and we expect too much from ourselves. So, modest increase in my exercise and the diet that I laid out is what I've done to lose the weight that I've lost. All of this, again, was inspired largely by 2 deaths and a doctor visit that I went to earlier this year. So that's the whole thing. Again, I feel a little weird talking about this. When I'm talking about firearms and ammunition and all the peripheral subjects to that, I'm in my element. Talking about nutrition, weight loss, and all those kind of things, I just feel kind of odd. One last point that I want to make, folks, before I wrap up the video, is losing weight initially is really only half the battle. The other half is keeping it off once you've lost it, which is really where I am at this point. I'm not all that interested in losing any more weight. But what you have to do, or what I'm thinking of this as a lifestyle change. The way I'm eating now is the way I'm planning on eating pretty much for the rest of my life. The reason for that is, again, so many people put a finite goal on their diet. They want to lose X number of pounds, or they want to fit into this or that type of clothing. And they get to there and they think, wow, I made it. And then, after they've made it, they go right back to eating the same way they did that caused them to gain weight in the first place. I recognize at this point that if I go back to eating the way that I did before, and drinking beer the way I did before, and all those other things the way I did before, that within another 6 months or so, 8, 9 months, whatever, I'll probably look exactly the way I did before, if not gain even more weight than I had before. So I'm not planning on stopping this. This is just going to be the way that I eat. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about my foods that I eat. For drinking, I either drink diet soda, or I've really developed a taste for that flavored water that's like fruit flavored. You get it strawberry flavored or orange flavored or whatever. I kind of like that stuff. So that gives you something to drink that's a little bit better than plain old water, but still no calories, no nothing. I've debated back and forth about how I want to end this video, and what I'm about to do, I decided I would do, even though I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but I thought maybe if you're out there, if this provides you some motivation and it helps you or whatever, I'll do this for you. I'm not doing it for me. I'm about to take my shirt off. Again, I feel kind of weird. The consolation I'm taking in this is when I'm done with the video, I'm going to jump in the pool, so I have to take my shirt off anyway. So if you're one of my male viewers and you want to hurry up and get the video stopped so you don't see a 51-year-old guy standing here with his shirt off, I get it. Believe me. I'll give you a 5-second countdown like Rush does so you can get this thing stopped before I take my shirt off. But here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're still here, you've been forewarned, and here we go. Hope I don't scare anybody. So this is me. This is me at 51 after losing about 70 pounds. I don't know what more I can say. I'm feeling pretty silly right now. But if you have any questions or comments about the video, please leave those below. I'll answer them as honestly as I can. I hope this answers the questions that a lot of people have been asking me. And I guess I'll end like Forrest Gump. That's all I got to say about that. Y'all take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.